Eight, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to Andy Decodes, the 12th Dimension. Sit back and enjoy as we dive deeper down into the rabbit hole.
Hello, welcome to the show. Chris will be with me in one moment. He's just sorting something out. Sorry, I was just laughing at Simon saying the intro makes his cats go weird. I don't think it's intro, mate. But anyway, right. So, a couple of updates before we do start. First one is obviously the membership. And the more members, the better. The more we get more emojis. And I will be doing live investigations. Now, some of them, the bigger ones, are going to be members only for about a week, maybe two, and then it will be shown for everyone else who subscribes to the channel and those that don't subscribe. So that's that. There's going to be quite a few streams over the next few weeks that the chat is going to be members only as well. The rest of you can view, but you're not going to be able to type anything. So it's just how we're going to have to do things going forward. Not every single one. I will let you know a week or two before, just to make it fair. So that's that one. Secondly, I do have a weekend ticket to give away for Manchester Awakening Expo on the 26th and 27th of August. Now, I've not decided yet how I'm going to give the ticket away, and there's two options on this one ticket. First condition is you will have to make your own way there. If I'm passing where you live, I can pick you up. That's not a problem. Or if I know somebody that lives near where you are, I could arrange for you to be picked up if you don't drive or you know the way of getting there. I'll do my best to sort that out. Secondly, you do have to enter the building with me because the tickets are on my phone. Now, you can either do the Saturday and the Sunday, or you have the option, if you can only do one day, one person can have it for the Saturday and another person can have it for the Sunday. So that's that one done. So let me know about that. I will be doing a live stream between now and next Friday on winning the ticket. Like I said, I'm not sure how I'm going to do it, but do keep jumping back to the website and all the information will be on there. Third lot of information, Cannock Chase. So we are going to Cannock Chase the 9th and 10th of September. We're doing a stay over. If you are interested in going, please go to the website, click on the link. You will be able to send me an email direct, and that way I'll know who's going and we can arrange everything that way. And I'll let you know exactly the locate. I'll let you know the exact location, the day or the morning that we're going to be going. We're not going to be meeting till about 2-3 o'clock anyway. We're going to be staying over and then coming back. Hopefully, if we don't get attacked or become part of the missing 411, we'll be coming back around midday or even later on the Sunday. It's down to you guys what time you want to go, what time you want to leave. So, and that's the 9th and 10th. All the information for everything I've just said is on the website. So once Chris has finished what he's doing, I will bring him on the screen. And here he is. Perfect timing. I'm glad I've got the little monitor at the bottom, otherwise you'd have been mid whatever you was doing.
Naked.
Well, I didn't like to say. Right.
You get it over there, take it, yeah.
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 So we are going to be doing, we're going to be adding something onto this. What I've been kind of doing Chris's heading about it, to be honest. It was an image that he sent me, nearly 2 years ago when you first came on, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So it must be 18 months ago?
Yeah. So do you want to talk about this first before we go?
Should we do this and get it out of the way and then we can...
So we're kind of, we want to kind of just talk about disclosure in general. So that was the kind of idea. I kind of chat about what's happened up to now, roughly, just a kind of overview, where we think it's going to go, and then what questions is that going to present moving on for that. So that was the kind of idea of the night, to get a general chat.
Yeah,
everybody in the chat, obviously, hi everybody in the chat as well. Feed in questions, feed in ideas, because it's things that's going to come out, obviously, after disclosures. We're saying that as if it's going to happen, right? But we'll get into all that. But it's questions that's going to arrive after that. There's so many questions. It's going to answer like some questions maybe, but then it's going to create a lot more. So on that note of disclosure, Andy's asked me to disclose this picture. So a bit of background on it. I had a friend who knew a few people were at a wedding and up in Scotland, and it was this hotel, and it was a bit of synchronistic kind of thing linked to it as well, because one of my friends who's been on me on the podcast and again, Mark Anderson, he is from the same town as this picture was taken. And he was telling me about this place. It's called Mark Inch, and it's got like a stone circle in that, and it's got like a big hotel next to where the stone circle is. It's supposed to be haunted, all that kind of stuff. And he was talking about how the place has got like kind of some funny energies about it, and just a kind of mysterious place in general. And he was talking about links with ley lines for Rosslyn and things like that. And so he was talking about that, but I plucked my interest, but it's like, obviously you hear kind of stories and stuff about certain places. It was in Mark's kind of idea, because obviously he was from that kind of local town. So when it wasn't long after that, actually, I'd kind of started the podcast, and I was talking to one of my friends who isn't into paranormal stuff at all, and he said to me, "You need to see this." And we've all got some things that we sit on now and again or whatever. And I've never shared it online, because like one, it's permission wise to share it, and to say I've had it, you know what I mean? But at the same time, I've blacked out the faces and all that kind of stuff. You can see it. I've never shared it as well, because as soon as you share some of these things online, like a UFO picture, a ghost picture, you get so many people just trying to be skeptical of it and talk about how crap it is, or it's this or it's that, it's a trick. So the first time I seen the picture, I kind of thought that it was a double exposure. And you can't really see a lot. I mean, it's been brightened up a lot to actually see what it was. But I'll tell you a bit about the story first. So it was like a wedding at this place. So a wedding at the place, there was 3 girls getting a picture. And after the picture, the cameraman said to them, "Who was behind you?" And they said nobody was behind us, and there was nobody there behind them. And then when I looked at the picture, it looked like there was somebody squeezing in the back of them, right? And they would have felt this. I mean, you can actually kind of see like something squeezing in the back of it. You can hardly really see it. You can make it in the original picture. You could actually just make it a kind of outline of a chin and some a bit of teeth or whatever. But when you actually toned it down or up, you get to see a lot more features in that.
Do you want me to put the full with the 3 people in it first?
Yeah, put that up first, time.
Right. So with this,
I know this just looks like somebody in the back of them, right? But when you actually see the rest of the picture, you can notice that there's nobody there, right? But their actual shadow line and that kind of stuff. They also, as well, it hasn't got like the line where you get the indent between your nose to the top of your lip.
Yeah.
Right. And I know
There's
a lot
no
of
nose.
they would just, if you put this online and see it, people say, oh, somebody just jumped in the back of them. There wasn't anybody there. They're not the paranormal stuff.
Yeah.
And it does
can I just say, sorry, Chris, can I just say, when you first sent me this, I noticed the lack of nose. So where the nose and the whatever that bit's called, I don't know. So we was laughing about it, saying it looked like Voldemort out of Harry Potter.
Yeah.
But if you look to the girl in the middle with the dark hair, her face the person in the background, it kind of fades out. There's no, even though the hair's covering, you should still be able to see the shape of the face, but there's nothing there.
Directly right behind them was a dense group of fir trees that was all kind of cut in, and they were up against that, and they would have felt if somebody was in the back of them, because this is a tucked chin right down like over their shoulders, so they felt it. But when you can see that the original picture hardly showed it. The original picture actually, it was just a very, very kind of faint line. But when you actually lighten it right up and stuff like that, this is what you see. And I mean, when you zoom into it and look at it, it doesn't do it justice here, because obviously this is actually zoomed in and zoomed in again, and then we're mucking with the colour and stuff like that. But that was there in the picture, and it was when the cameraman said to them, they said no, there was nobody there, and I seen the chat with them talking about and stuff about how like weird and creepy it was and all that kind of stuff. But so that's it. Some people might think it's nothing. Some people might just think it's bullshit, but somebody's jumped in the back of them and it just looks like that. But it's a genuine picture. I've never shared it, just for the fact that people they could easily say, "Oh, that's this and that's that." So I know like some of the people involved, and it's definitely like a real general kind of picture.
Yeah. So you ready for the next one?
Yeah, go for it.
There's
hard to see, it's kind of pixelated, you know what I mean? But
yeah, but when I first looked at that, like you said about double exposure, it does. The way they're smiling is like the girl above, the same sort of smile, but you can clearly see the one at the back is the lower teeth, and the one.
If you go back to the other pictures, you see it clearer. They start off with when you when that one there, right? When you see that one there, it's when you look at the shapes of the teeth and all that kind of stuff and the lips on them, there's no, you can definitely see there's no double exposure in that. That's the very, very first thing I kind of thought it was a double exposure, and it wasn't. But the place is a bit of a weird place apparently, and that's what kind of piqued my interest in it. And then synchronistic for that as well. Shortly after that, I got invited to a wedding at the same place. Never been there before in my life, and I got invited to a wedding and I stayed there overnight. Not happened.
Nothing.
Never bumped into the thing.
Not that you know, anyway.
No. Drank too much.
But so I'll jump back to that other picture. Oops. I'm just knocking everything over. So in this, when you first sent it, I was thinking, oh, it could be just like her chin and teeth. But then if you look, you can clearly see the girl who's supposed to be in the picture, it's the top row of teeth that you can see more. Whereas the one that we think is some sort of apparition, it's a lower set of teeth. Oh, that's what it looks like to me anyway.
Yeah. And it's definitely, it's not got the same, it's not got that part between the upper lip, can't remember the name of it, the upper lip to the underside of the nose. That thing's non-existent. It's hard to see in this picture because it's quite pixelated. Because
but as well, if you look at the girl in the middle, I know it's pixelated, but with the dark hair, you should be able to see some sort of outline to the rest of the person's face. But there's nothing there.
Yeah, what I'll do is.
And the skin complexion is completely different to everyone else. I know if it was a person, then
I'm going to send you so you can actually see this one. This will be better, right?
Okay.
So you'll actually
yeah, just let me open this then.
Yeah. You can actually see
yeah, I have got the original somewhere.
No, I've got it here, so I'm just going to send you that.
That's right, I'm just waiting for it to come through.
So you actually see all the sets of teeth in this, so you can understand there's no.
Yeah.
Yes, there.
Right, do you want me to use that one?
Give a minute, I might just come down a bit. I'm just trying to not show the people in it. That's it. Give a minute.
Yeah. Well, you can't see the eyes, so it's going to make it quite difficult.
Yeah, go for that one. That's all right. Go for that one.
Right, just let me stick it on here then. That's probably a better one because, like you said, you can see the shape of the teeth and what have you. Right, Here we go. Yeah. Now that's just because, like you said, you can see the dark contrast of where that whoever it is at the back is shadow.
You see a shadow. You see a shadow with the. You see a shadow where the chin line is and stuff like that.
Yeah, you can see the shadow like under the chin and coming down from the cheek. Mm-hmm. So it is a lot darker, but surely you'd know if there was somebody stood behind you resting their head on your shoulder.
Yeah. And the place is supposed to be mega haunted as well. But it's not a place I've looked into or anything like that. But it was quite interesting though, just how these things happen. He was talking about it. I got sent that picture, and it was just weeks after I got invited to a wedding at the same place.
Synchronicity, Chris.
Totally, yeah. I went looking for the stone circle, but I didn't find it on that day. But there is one there.
Right. Yeah. So if anyone's got any thoughts on that, please leave them in the comment section once this is uploaded to YouTube, and I can pass it all on to Chris. But yeah, it's just one of them pictures that you keep looking at, and it's like, do you know what I mean? You're trying to work out where it is. You kind of know where it is, but you want a definite answer.
Yeah.
We're just not getting it.
I've got it on. It's called in my files. It's called Teeth.
Yeah, don't watch the movie called Teeth. Have you seen that?
No. We'll see that. I know what it's about.
Don't let your kids. Yeah, don't let your kids watch it.
Oh. So we kind of thought we'd talk about the disclosure in regards to if it happens, right?
Yes,
so up until present, you know what I mean? So if you think about disclosure in regards to is it going to happen, is it not going to happen, is this real? How is it not real? You know what I mean? So we've kind of came from, you look at the US government, for example, you've had all the different UFO projects that's ran over there. So you've had Project Sign, Grudge, Blue Book, Condon Report. You've had ATIP, OSAP, and now more recently, the UAP Task Force, AIM-SOG, and obviously now you've got Arrow. So we're looking at all that type of stuff over that amount of time. There's no way now they can still turn around and say this is bullshit. It's no there. There's definitely something there. You know I mean, we know that. I mean, I think we all know that. That's why we're kind of following it. But it's interesting, kind of the stuff that's kind of happened up until now as well. So we've got obviously for 2017. I done a bit of thing on this the other week there, but just kind of covering some of the quick things that's happened. So 2017, or just before that, Tom DeLonge came out with to the Stars Academy with quite a few high-ranking people working with him, and he was on the Joe Rogan show before that, who thought he was actually off his head. But then it was right, he came out with obviously Jim Semivan, the CIA, working with him, Steve Justice for Lockheed Martin, Luis Elizondo, all these different type of people. You know what I mean? And so that kind of went on for there. We went through that happened. Obviously, Congress and Senate got kicked into touch. They were trying to look into it a bit more. They were getting briefed. They were getting briefed with people like Leo Elizondo and a few others. So they were trying to find out more. I mean, so from that, they started the UAP task force. They had hearings on it or briefings on it, all of which didn't really come to much. But they did ask some good questions at the time. But the people who were like basically getting the questions asked, like Scott Bray and Ronald Moultrie, didn't really know their history about it. Didn't really know much about it, or they were just making it they didn't know anything. So that was that. So that's kind of went on there. They then went and done more into it. They did the 180-day page report. They did that. That came out. There's wee bits in the reports which were some bits that were good, some bits were crap. But we were getting a drip feed of some stuff coming through. Obviously, then after that, the UAP task force was getting kind of set up. At the same time, DoD tried to set up that AIMSOG, which was the Airborne Object Identification and Synchronization Group. That was one they could never pronounce, AIMSOG. So they started that at the same time to basically tell Congress, like, we've got this fixed. We'll look into this ourselves. But that didn't go anywhere. So they obviously started with the UP task force. That then moved on to Arrow, obviously, for there. So there's so much kind of stuff happened for that. You know what I mean? So Arrow, All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office. So that's Sean Kirkpatrick. That started. You had obviously David Grush. He was involved in the UAP task force, gone back, and then more recent times we know he's came out as well and disclosed a whole raft of stuff. You know what I mean? So there's loads and loads in there. You know what I mean? Through which has happened from 2016 to present. If you even ignore everything that's happened pre that, right?
Yeah.
Everything that's came from, as I said, Project Sign, Blue Book. We're only talking about American stuff here. I mean, now, but Britain's done stuff as well. You know what I mean? So Britain's had UAP reports. There was a UAP report done between the 90s and early 2000s with the UK. It's about 400 to 500 page report. I'll share it in the what do you call it?
I was just going to say, obviously with LinkedIn, do you follow SETI as Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence?
I don't really follow them, no.
Oh, well,
I'm not looking anymore.
Well, they put quite a lot on. I'll send you a couple of the posts that they've put on there. Yeah. Well, like with the UAP stuff and that. But you're saying about doing research. I did listen to Skinwalkers of the Pentagon.
And
good. That is kind of like giving disclosure without giving too much away.
Yeah.
So is it 230 million a year in black money that goes to UAP and UFO research that they don't have to account for? Then you've got all these acronyms of all these different agencies, from NIDS to BAS, Bob Bigelow.
So that
Fugel,
was
the new guy at Skinwalker, Brendan Fugel, and all them. And it's just there's so much government involvement with all these different agencies that are going on. There's too much for there not to be anything happening.
So the interesting thing about like OSAP, and OSAP was set up. So OSAP was set up pre-ATIP. So ATIP came out of OSAP.
Yeah.
This is just before this. And that came out, they were only funded $23 million, which isn't a lot of money. But before that, Bigelow had NIDS, which is a National Institute of Discovery Science. They had that. And then from that, obviously they got funding, and OSAP came out of all that as well.
Yeah, but then they brought another one, which was part of BAS. Was it AADI? I can't remember. There's so many abbreviations in that book. It's
So there was OSAP then ATAP, but OSAP
ATAC, that's it.
So OSAP then ATAP. So when OSAP came out, so OSAP was the Advanced Aerospace Weapons Systems Application Program, right? ATAP is the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program. So
one
ATAP
was doing so one was doing the research, while the other one made sure that they was allowed to do the research without anybody else getting involved. Is that correct?
Well, no, not really. I mean, kind of, but I mean, in regards to when OSAP were doing their studies and stuff, right? They were looking at white phenomena, and they looked at a lot of it. They looked at health effects, they looked at UEP, looked at everything, and that's where they're looking at Skinwalker Ranch. But the thing that they did as well, which nobody's seen yet, that they've compiled all the UAP reports, like if they go from UFO, they've got stuff for obviously in our government. They had 20 people at one time working at the same time, just collating UAP data. They're supposed to have like the biggest bank UAP data anywhere, right? And so ATIP came out of that, and then obviously it moved on for obviously like Luis Elizondo coming out, ATIP, and then obviously bringing forth like the Tic Tac, gimbal videos, all the kind of things came out. But the thing with that is though, so where are we going with this, right? So all that's happened, right? Everything like that's happened. It's still, the Senate's still looking into it, so is the Congress. So recently there's been a briefing with Sean Kirkpatrick, which wasn't that great, but he, at that, it looked like to me they were still kind of underfunded and stuff, but now they've got more funding. He did on the briefing, he did show an orb, it's off a Predator drone, which he showed that, and he said, well, that's the kind of stuff that we're looking at. That's the kind of stuff we need to sift through. But he didn't really, he still said that he's not got any proof yet. But in behind the scenes, there is people going to the witness testimony and bringing stuff forward, right? So the interesting thing that's happened after that, you then had NASA, had like a 4-hour briefing on, or hearing on UAP. Just a wee minute.
Yeah.
Just lost it there.
Oh.
Right, so they had a 4-hour presentation on UAP. Sean Kirkpatrick was involved in that as well. In between all that as well, we had the Wilson Davis notes. So the Wilson Davis notes was that was Admiral Wilson stating to, what's his name again, Eric Davis, about him trying to find the program. So he was trying to find the back engineering program.
Okay.
He was like, he should have had oversight on it, right?
Yeah.
So he was trying to find this back engineering program within the government. He then got stonewalled and got told not to look any further, so it affected his career. So, but that was all documented. Eric Davis documented that, and it was in what was the astronaut's name? Notes when he died. Can't remember his name, but somebody died. One of the astronauts died. In his notes, that documentation was in there, right? But the key thing that Admiral Wilson documents is the refer to the Advanced Theoretical Physics Group, which is a group set up in the 80s. And it had people for government, it had people like John Alexander was on it, it had people for MacArthur Douglas, like defence contractors, had Lockheed Martin there. And they were all talking about, in the notes with that, Grant Cameron had day notes, right, which linked into that. He was sitting on them until it came out for the Wilson Davis documents. And all of that states that they were then, back in the 80s, mid-80s, looking at stuff to do with UAP, looking at stuff to do with remote viewing, looking at stuff to do with abductions, and looking at stuff today, talking about tracking them and things like that. That was mid-80s, right? So if you get to where we are now, right, you've got people obviously like David Grush. Right? David Grush came out. He's stating things like, obviously, that the program's real. There is a back engineering program. You've got issues where there's multiple craft being found over the years, and there's people being killed on that because of it as well. People have vouched for him and have said basically that he's legit. Yeah. So that's that, all that kind of stuff. So if this is true, that's where do they go then? So if actually this comes out, one of the most recent things that's came out now is Senator Gillibrand has came out with an amendment to the bill that basically the wording in it, it looks like Chris Mellons wrote it or Luis Elizondo wrote it. Right. The wording in it basically says it's so any defence contractors or private contractors like military contractors like Lockheed Martin can't wangle at it. So it's talking about things like recovered craft, recovered metamaterials, contractors working for them, overseeing it. I mean, all that kind of stuff, so they can oversight it. So it's basically, if this bill gets passed, which it's halfway there now, but if it gets passed, as soon as that's signed off with Biden, right?
Yeah.
The whole lot 60 days to go to Arrow and tell them I've got this stuff, right? And then they need to show them it within 180 days.
Right.
So that's, I mean, if you look at the word in here, I've not got it up here with me. I'm going to try and get it off to read it out, but the word in it is quite immense, because it talks about back engineering programs. It talks about non-human intelligent craft. All that. This is done for Senator Gillibrand in America. So it's like it's mad that you're not even seeing this stuff in the news yet. I mean, it's totally crazy.
Yeah. Right, I've got a question for you. It's not from me. It's from Nickname. She's put, what are your thoughts on David Grush?
Right. So the large craft. So that one, the interesting thing with the large crafters, right? So I never seen the actual podcast, but I seen the clip between Coolheart and Project Unity. So when he was talking about, so one of the first things, so today with that bill, I just spoke about the Gillibrand, right? So all these companies, like for example, if you can imagine, if there has been craft recovered, now it's in private industry, or the majority of them might be sitting in private industry, right? So if they're sitting in like Lockheed Martin's bunker somewhere or whatever else, it's how did he get to that? So the way they've written that bill, they should disclose of that. But the thing is, everybody's thinking, right, if they've got all this time, because that amendment's not going in yet, it probably will not go in until maybe later on this year, if not the start of next year, until the actual bill gets signed, right? So you're still a good bit of time here, right? So if that, they're all like, they could be hiding the craft everywhere. That means you're right, dig a hole, bury that craft, or go and put it in your garage now because the task force was coming to look at it. You know what I mean, Andy? Go and put this craft in your garage for me, just because like Sean Kirkpatrick from Arrows want to come and have a look at my house to find the craft. So you've got all that kind of stuff going on. So that was one of the questions put to Ross Coolheart about, well, what about them just hiding the craft and all that kind of stuff? He says, well, the thing is, I've been told of a number of different sources that there's craft that big that they had to basically build a structure around about it, and it's still there, and it's no in the US. It's off the US territory. So the interesting thing with that is what came up. People were reckoning that this craft was next to Seoul in Korea, right?
Right.
In South Korea, and then there was a lot of kind of chatter on Twitter about it being there's a place in the mountain, it's east of Seoul. And it's not far away, you know what I mean? But it's like right in the centre of a kind of built up area. But we've got this big, massive, circular concrete structure, right? That sits on a hill.
Yeah.
So it sits on a hill. I'll get it up there now, and I could show you, right? So it sits on a hill, and you can actually Google map it. You can street view it, and you can walk up so far, but you've got a gate, and it just says military installation on like the Google map things. You can't go any further. You can see the structure from behind you. It's only about 4 meters high, but as big as wide, but it's really wide. But the interesting thing with the whole that interview, right, as well, Stephen Greer said the exact same months and months ago, and a lot of people missed it because it's just one of maybe off the cuff remarks that maybe he said about craft as well. And Stephen Greer said the exact same thing. So it's no new. I know Ross Coulthart, when he brought it out, everybody think that was new, but actually Stephen Greer kind of had brought it up months ago about the same thing. And he mentioned actually, Stephen Greer mentioned that it was actually it was in Seoul. It was outside Seoul. So that's where that came from. I don't know if it is in Seoul, but there's other thing I seen getting banned about as well. What if this actual craft that was supposed to be something built and about it? What about if it's still been built and about it now? What if it's some archaeological?
Well, that's it. How long have they been here?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, that's
the next question.
They've been here forever. You know what I mean?
They've been here 10 years. They've been here 10,000 years. were they here before us?
Aye. But that's the interesting thing with that. So I went and street viewed that. I was walking up and down that road next to this structure to find out what was there. There's a Buddhist temple further up the back a few miles away from you. So I was trying to look at vantage points to see if we could see into this. It's supposed to be some kind of communication place, but it doesn't look like that. It's just it's a round concrete structure, right?
Yeah.
And it's got something stuck in the middle of it. It's really, really, really big. But the bad thing with it is when you actually go back and you can look in to a certain angle and see it, it's actually built out of stone. It's built out of like kind of just like stone, like as in brick, kind of like.
Oh right,
It's built out of stone. The way it's built, it's no like something really polished concrete or anything like that. It might have that on the top. It looks like something like the top, but it's actually built up with bricks and stone.
So does it have a cover over the top? Do you know?
Yeah, it's got a cover on the top. I'll get a picture here.
Yeah, that's fine. No, because I was just going to ask you, because I've always thought this theory will always stick, that you know how they build military bases in just the most random of places around the world?
Yeah.
Do you think, I know it's going a bit off topic, but I've always wondered, I don't think I've ever asked you, do you think that could be either an entrance to inner Earth as such, or some sort of entrance to inner Earth where these underground bases already exist? So if you build a military base or a government building over that entrance, then that stops anyone like Joe Public from getting in and doing anything. Straight away, it's government building and it's off bounds to normal civilians.
So that's what you think happens up at Antarctica?
Yeah, see, that's another one that's twisting my head a little bit. I can't get my head around that at all.
Do you want me to get a picture of this structure?
Yeah.
Right, give me a minute and I'll get a picture of it.
So I'm just going to open the apps. Right. But I was just looking at the bullet points that you sent through. So it's like you said, how long have the government known? Do you think they've known for a long time, or they're just like us and they're still trying to find out what is actually going on? Have they actually been told?
Well, see, that's the thing. That's the thing where you want to get into, because like when you see, let's say for example that the US come out and basically say that right, we've had craft. We know we've got craft, and they've been there since like David Grush was saying that the dates back to 1930s, like dates back 90 years, right? That's what he was saying, right?
Yeah.
But there's been loads of stuff before that. But let's say, for example, that's when they started, right? So within that, what kind of questions? Like, let's say they come out and say, right, we have bought recovered craft. I've knew about it for like 80 years or whatever, or 90 years or whatever. And they actually come out and say something. They say we've got this, but that basically brings out a whole raft of questions. How long have they known, for a start? Has there been any colluding with them in any sense? And I mean, you hear any stories where there's people getting abducted and stuff like that, and there's military people there. I mean, it brings a whole raft of different questions into it. You know what I mean? Where what governments know and how long have they known these things? You know what I mean? And if like I know a story for like the UK in regards to military, and I mean it's quite a bad one. There's no one would say, but it's like, but it relates to like people in the military knowing stuff here, and the same as like the US. You know what I mean? And it's almost like you have this clandestine group, as we know, that run this show. You know what I mean? And how could they keep this thing secret for that long? You know what I mean? I know there's people coming out now, but it's it seems to have that much kind of involvement in it.
Yeah. So who do you think then, what level, whether it's an agency or whatever you want to call it, who do you think actually runs everything that's going on? I've got
well,
my...
See, if you're looking at if you're looking at the UAP topic, right? If you're looking at the solo UAP topic, who I would say is running that show now is private industry.
Do you reckon?
Right, private industry, because you think about private industry, right? most of the people who work in private industry are ex-military, right? So
Yeah.
there'll all be people who they'll be ex-military, ex-generals, ex-colonels, all that kind of stuff. And because although there maybe be military guys, I mean, they're not just military guys. They're trained in like a lot of different stuff in physics and
everything we
everything.
don't know.
So I mean, so some of these guys they leave the military and they go and work for private industry, right? So and then they'll have links and didn't get me wrong, there'll probably some part of the government still linked into it, but at the same time, I think private industry will be calling the shots. And you think it's the mad thing with this, if you look at it, right, is if you look at an American standpoint, this will happen in the UK as well, right? That you've got if private industry look after this, right, because of the fact that it's to protect the public and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like, but if you look at it in a sense where for this, if something crashed tomorrow, right, the amount of kind of different things you can get off that in regards to recovered technology, it's all money. It's all money.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not. That's why now you probably have crash retrieval teams. They're not the military. The crash retrieval teams are probably private industry ones, and they'll be. It's getting tracked for the military, past the name. They'll have teams going out. It's pure paid. It's paid up. See, as soon as like a crash on, they're out to get it because it's not just about like to try to hide it. It's probably to try and get the technology and try to obviously even like the metamaterials and stuff like that. I mean, all that kind of stuff. I mean, it's going to be paid up. So you've got that kind of sense here, right? And plus the whole kind of things about right. Obviously, somebody's saying black budgets too, right? But black budgets they're feeding into the private industry. So if you look at it this way, right, you've got the public, right, who are paying for this, right? Yeah. The public are paying for it through obviously the tax and all that kind of stuff. That's fed through black budgets. It's getting pushed into private industry. It's then getting covered up again and paid for with the taxpayer. So the taxpayer are paying for retrievals. They're paying for the cover up. They're paying for these private industry contractors to get paid as well. And then it's in a pure circle. It's absolutely mad when you think of it. I mean, so they're not wanting that to come out.
No. Well, right, I'm going to throw a question at you. Do you think the Vatican has got any involvement with anything that's going on?
Totally. I mean,
do you think they run it? Do you think they're the ones up there deciding what happens and when?
Who you talking about, them or the Vatican?
The Vatican.
No, I wouldn't think so, but I think the Vatican. This is just me thinking. I'm not like the expert on it, but I think the Vatican know about it. They've come out with statements in the last couple of years about UAPs and stuff like that. They've come out with statements about we're all God's children and stuff like that, regardless of where they're from and all that. Statements like that. There's been a number of different statements. Read a book recently from a guy called Paul Wallace, who basically worked in the Catholic Church and stuff like that, right? Some theologian, and he basically transcribed like biblical texts and stuff like that. And see some of the stuff that he's looked into now. It goes back to about Genesis, where we're from, and all that. It's totally mad, like. And I'm sure that the Pope commented in his book when it came out as well. All that, I mean, the Vatican stuff. I think the Vatican do know about that, but it's a case of I don't think they control it though. But the mad thing is where you get part of the military-industrial complex has been stated in the past, right? And then you think to yourself, if they've been colluding with, for example, let's say ETs or multidimensionals or whatever's there, right? Or non-human entities, as they're calling them now. Let's say they've been communicating with them or had some kind of agreement with them over the years. You actually kind of think about like what kind of people or things they are. If they're letting all this happen without people knowing about it, and they're using this hardware for a look at more kind of military vehicles or kind of things like that for weapons and all that. I mean, what does that tell you about them?
Well, it's just a massive cover up, isn't it? That's basically what it is.
Give me a minute. If you give me a minute, I'll go and I'm going to
find this.
I'll find this picture right and show you it now.
Yeah. So when you were saying about just while you do that, has there been a treaty? Do you mean between us and the ETs?
Yeah.
Do you think there has?
I think, well, it's a hard one, you know. I mean, you've got the things where they've said that there's been some Air Force base where there was a meeting between ETs and the US military and things like that. I mean, but at the same time, I don't know. There's no evidence to it. You know what I mean? But people say that's happened. You know what I mean? There's Edwards Air Force Base. That's it.
Yeah.
People say that happened, and then there's maybe some agreement in there about in regards to abductions or things like that. I mean, Terry Lovelace stated that he was for the military, and he had abductions and stuff like that. And some of the stuff that he'd said that there was some kind of agreement between the government and them, and that's they're allowed to take X amount of people for whatever genetics or creating stuff like that. I mean, so it's
who
a
do you
mad
think?
one.
Yeah, sorry. So who do you think, if there is a treaty signed, who do you think the terms this treaty were on? Because I don't think it'd be on ours. I'd think it'd be on theirs.
I mean, see the mad thing is, right? I don't know. I mean, it's a hard one, that, right? But when you look at everything that's happened, and you look at the amount of people who's been abducted and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
And then when you hear some of the stories, different people being abducted, or you hear the stories, when like ETs or whatever are relaying information, they're saying that they can't get involved, and they can't get involved in their business, basically. I mean, they need to kind of let us be, right? But if you think that, well, why is there abductions happening and stuff like that? But and the reason behind that is because there's multi different a number of different aliens here or whatever, right?
Yeah,
races,
species.
and they're all doing stuff to do with experiments. Some are doing experiments, some are helping us, some aren't helping us, some are using us.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So that's the kind of when you read into some of the stuff where like the Dolores Cannon stuff, and that's what she kind of found. You know what I mean? That there's like multiples of different ones, and then there's like people who do want to see us get on better. But it's, I mean, when you delve into all that stuff, though, it goes into the Dolores Cannon stuff about us being created or put here, right?
Yeah.
But the interesting thing with that is when you look at stuff like, say, Dolores Cannon, who's, if you don't know who Dolores Cannon is, basically does a lot of aggression in the 60s, and then found that to take people by that, she found during that as well, they were going back to past lives, and even over that as well, she was finding people who had been abducted, and she could actually go in and communicate with these people on another level, some of them anyway. And she found that she could talk to the beings and stuff like that, right? And this went on for years, and up to quite recently, and people still do it. It's called QHHT, and she found that there was a number of different races, and she's not just hearing it for one person. So it's not a case of she's regressing somebody and they're telling them the same story. She was regressing multiple different people and they were telling them the same story, right? So they're telling them like an origin story or a multiple origin story, different ETs or whatever, coming here, and some experimenting. Someone had actually created us. Some had they were maybe malevolent, and there's supposed to be rules attached to it all, right? But there's other ones that who basically didn't listen to the rules. So you've got all that going on, right, about the whole kind of creation thing.
Yeah.
You look at stories, the biblical stories of Paul Wallace, right, when he was referring back to the stuff where about us being, it's like kind of Prometheus story about us being put here as well, right? But the interesting thing is now, when you look at people, I've mentioned before, when you look at like Bob Monroe, right, for the Monroe Institute, when he done astral traveling, and he went right back, and he actually, the main kind of findings he found out why we're here was that we were created as well, right? We were created and put here with something, right, for some reason, right? When you listen to him in recent times, right, people like Dr. Gary Nolan, right, he's brought up in a number of different podcasts that people are probably not listening to, and it's probably over their heads, that he's come out with a few times. He's said things like, "What if you found out you were farmed? What would you think about that now?" And like Gary Nolan's in the know. I mean, for thing I talked about earlier on with that group in the 80s called the Advanced Theoretical Working Group, that's going on today. And he's involved in that kind of stuff. I mean, he's in the know of something. I mean, him and like Louise Elizondo, they're getting something for somewhere. So he comes out with some statements, and then again, he's mentioned the farm statement a few times. And he's about consciousness and being farmed and all that kind of stuff, and about us being here. And there's a lot of things like that. And he came out recently in a podcast and said basically that somebody asked him, so what do you think percentage-wise that there's something else here? And he said 100%, definitely. I know that.
So what would you think then because I've thought about this, what if we are farmed? That's probably the most scariest thought of everything I've thought about.
But I mean, it's a mad thought, right? But it depends what for. I mean, when people automatically think, if you think you're farmed for something, right? People automatically think you're farmed for food, right?
Yeah.
But it's not the case. You know what I mean, it's supposed to be not the case. There are a couple of different kind of ideas in that. The one with Bob Monroe thing, he calls it loosh, right? And the analogy he gives is that, let's say, for example, there's cows in a field.
Yeah.
And they're eating and they generate milk, and something they generate too much milk for their calves, and maybe they've got calves and all that kind of stuff, and that excess milk is taken away, right? The cows are no different either or for it, right? So he said, Bob Monroe basically said that we were farmed for loosh, and it was like some type of, it seemed to be like some type of energy or something like that, right? That was one explanation for it. The other explanation was it just basically we were put here for something else in regards to for like working, and then we were genetically modified through there and developed mere consciousness and all that kind of stuff. And that's there. And the reason you maybe get like the things coming in. I'm not saying this is all my ideas and it's all what I think. No. Some things that I've read and whatever, right? It's just like things that people have put across as theories. Is other things where religions were put in place, obviously, to try and keep us in check a bit. Because you see the same stories threaded through multiple different religions throughout the years. So, so that's interesting. That's an interesting book. One of the ones I read recently was called Escaping from Eden, from a guy called Paul Wallace. Worth reading. It's quite good. And that goes back into a lot of stuff to do with Genesis and about like the creation story. And it's quite good, like.
So, all right then. So going back, sticking with the farming theory, what if we're farmed and then all these different types of cryptids are here to feed off our energy fear, and that's what we're in? Because you've got all these different things going on, and everyone keeps saying about they're here to create fear, and they're feeding off our fear. What if we're farmed solely for that, but we've got other stuff going on to make us not think about it?
Maybe. I don't know. That was kind of one of the kind of like that with the Bob Monroe thing. Because he was saying it was like that it had more intensified during wars, what it was, but then he put it down at the end, it was the day with love and stuff like that, because that was more love made a more refined lush or whatever it was. But you hear these stories like that as well, almost like things that seem to be feeding fear or negative energy and stuff like that. But I mean, it's weird. So now you look at all this stuff now, though, right? You look at the whole kind of UFO thing and the UAP thing, but it's it links into so many different things, because when you see people get abducted and stuff, you don't see them, but when you hear people get abducted, sometimes it's a physical thing, sometimes like an astral thing. So, and then sometimes it links into consciousness and a lot of things like that as well. So it's like, where do you stop there? I mean, you look at the whole Skinwalker Ranch, just using that place as an example. Multiple kind of phenomena there, which is, it's totally mad. You know what I mean? But the mad thing we've got here where we are is there's so much different types of phenomena out there that you wouldn't even link in with UFOs or anything like that, which is that's just strange and crazy we know nothing about.
Yeah. But it's just, there is, like you said, there's just so many questions. But that to me, that'd make sense. If we are being farmed, then we're going to be farmed for our energy.
Mhm.
And obviously the other stuff that we're doing while we're here. But to me, that'd make more sense than anything else, is energy farming. So yeah, I don't know what to make of it, to be honest with you. But
So some of the other questions that might come up. So if you look at some of the stuff, right, where if this is true, they come out and say, right, UFOs are true. We've got 12 sitting in a hangar. We're trying to develop them. We're not getting in with them. All that kind of stuff. Or we have developed them and we've made. They're not going to come out and say we've made X, Y, and Z because they want to keep the military secrets and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you think to yourself, right, well, people have seen like flying triangles and all that kind of stuff and things like that. And
Yeah.
quite a lot of people attribute them to be like man-made craft. You look at like the stealth bombers, stealth fighters. I mean, they're probably, I don't know, how old are they now? About 40-year-old or something like that now. 40.
Oh, yeah.
Like that. Aye, so like you think about what they've got now. You know what I mean, or even what they had back then. So some of that stuff, and then you hear the other kind of stories as well, like secret space programs and things like that. You know what I mean? So where does it stop? I mean, I'm not saying I believe all the secret space program stuff, but then you look at stuff where you had like David Wilcox and the whole Corey Good story and all that. Didn't want any of that kind of stuff, right? Because I just didn't really listen to David Wilcox because he's ruined mere documentaries and a Hoskin shite. But apart from that, the stories like, for example, with Gary McKinnon, when he basically hacked into NASA, or like some of the Defence Department stuff, and got like the things he was getting. It was like he got pictures and that, but he didn't actually print them off. But he got stuff where it was like off-world vehicles, off-world, basically, what do you call it? Employees and all that kind of stuff. I mean, so I'd listen to people who were working off-world. You know what I mean? So, and multiple different ships that were working off-world, right? And they had the names of the ships, and the only names of the ships that actually were out and about and out, as in that when they see, they were like spacefaring ships. So there was like loads of stuff like that, right? So where does that stuff come from? If that's true, because that was one of the biggest hacks that they ever had. They tried to basically extradite them, and our government turned them down. They didn't get them. But it was one of the biggest hacks. But they thought they were trying to get him extradited to basically get him across to America, for what he'd found and stuff like that. But interesting story with Gary McKinnon stuff. So if you look at any of that, if you think any of that's true, you can link it in with, obviously they've got this technology and developing that, but they're not getting that far ahead that quick. So somebody's been helping them.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, when you look at loads of other stories, there's other stories where things like where I'll go back to Terry Lovelace, for example, and it's not the only one, where Terry Lovelace said that this is back in the 70s when there was like a massive triangle that took them on board. He said that was manned by humans and like greys or like larger type kind of mantids or whatever it was. I mean, but he said that it was manned by humans as well, and coveralls and stuff like that. So all that kind of stuff, you know what I mean? It's mad. Like, where does it end?
I know, that's it. I don't think it ever will. So do you think that the disclosure will just be UFO related, or do you think it will cover everything, like cryptids?
Well, I think it'll be. I think it'll
stuff.
See, I think it'll start like that. It's going to start like that because, as Nick Dean said, there is far too much evidence, right? But we'll end up with having. It's going to start with the UFO situation, right? But then that's going to escalate onto people are going to start asking questions about abductions, because if they turn around and say, right, we know there's bodies that look like this, and people say, well, that's the buggers that abducted me. You know what I mean, if you're in collusion or whatever else or whatever. So it's like that's the next question is going to go on. So if that comes out about obviously craft, then it's like a case of there's millions of people being abducted. right? There's a
Oh,
lot of
yeah.
evidence for it. You know what I mean? Or not a lot of, but a lot of like witness testimony of it. But you've got that kind of stuff. Obviously, the back engineering craft, how they're working with it, how far it goes back. Then obviously how it's linking into consciousness. Because like when you look at a lot of that stuff now, it's like it's to do with even what Tom DeLonge had said. It was what to do with consciousness when he was talking to people for Lockheed Martin.
Yeah.
About the craft and flying the craft and stuff like that. But that's no far fetched to imagine. Like using a person to fly a craft, because like now you can sit with like you can have like a Neuralink or something like that. I mean, it's no far fetched to think that can happen. You know what I mean? It's only frequencies and waves and stuff like that.
Well, they reckon we have the ability to use thought process, don't they?
Yeah.
It's already possible. So yeah, it's strange. I did have a question for you, but it's gone, and it's annoying because someone put it in the chat, and I would have to go through every single comment to find out what it was, and I ain't got time for that. I'll be here all night.
Right, am I going to find this? Want to find this picture?
Yeah.
Right, give me a minute. Right, I'll find it.
Yeah. Well, you find that. In fact, while you look for that, I'll look for this. What they put in? I don't know if it was nickname or it's either nickname Jojo, or it could have been Stockholm. It could be anywhere in here. I haven't got a clue. Nicknames put what was it on the lines of? Something to do with what we're talking about. Oh, yeah, remembered. Right. Missing 411. So why do you think then that some people that are abducted, some are returned and some just end up never coming back? That's not just you, but to people in the viewers in the chat. Why certain ones returned and then they keep coming back to get them and take them and bring them back and all that, but then you've got all these other missing 411s that just never reappear. Have they got something about them that they need, so they keep them?
Right. I'm just trying to find this thing to show you.
Yeah, it's right. Yeah. While you do that, I'll just reiterate that we now have Super Chat, so you can donate in the chat. You can become a member. I'm going to do a new page on the website where it's just going to be a list of all the members and what each level are. There is a new membership level coming out. I think I'm going to do it around the new year. It's not going to be that much more than the one we've got, but there's going to be a lot of extras on there. I think I'm just going to stick with them two for the time being. And if anyone wants to win a ticket, or two people to win a ticket for each day at the Manchester Expo at Bowlers on the 26th and 27th of August, there will be a link on the website for that. I'll be doing a live stream. Not decided how I'm going to give the tickets away yet. It might be a prize draw. If it is, I'll do a live names in a hat and pick one out, and whoever wins, they get it. You would have to make your own way there, and you would have to enter with me.
Can I find it?
He's all right. Yeah,
I'll get a picture. I'll get a picture in the show notes.
Yeah, that's fine. The only downside to winning that ticket is that you have to go to the conference with me. Once you get in there, you can go off and do whatever you want. You don't have to stay with me all day. I won't put that on anyone, to be honest with you. That's why I work on my own.
Yeah, a night with Andy.
One night only. I should call it one night only. No, the fact it's two, isn't it?
One other thing that's happened recently as well. I'm hoping it happens, but Tim Burchett, Congressman, had mentioned that potentially there's going to be hearings at the end of this month. So it's not came out yet, but he's alluded to there's potentially going to be hearings at the end of this month. This is like whistleblower hearings.
Ah, right, okay.
So, because if you noticed in the past, there's been quite a good few things that's happened in July. So, like reports will come out in July and June, stuff like that. So, that was kind of one of the things that it might potentially happen at the end of this month. And this is, he said there's credible people came forward with stories, hands-on information, retrieval programs, back engineering programs, legacy programs, things like that. So that'll be quite interesting to see if that comes up. So it's worth watching these when they come up. The mad thing is though, you don't know when they're happening, because it's like the news cycles didn't really follow you. So it's a hard one to actually try and get in the news or anything like that. But if you kind of into Twitter, UFO Twitter or UAP Twitter, usually kind of find people kind of post them up and stuff. Get linked in. Yeah. So what was the thing you talked about with would you call it missing 411?
What was that? Sorry.
What was it you mentioned before, missing 411, but people disappearing?
Yeah. So
coming back.
Someone. Right. I'm just going to find the comment. Right. So I'll put this up first. So you got the missing 411 where a lot of people get abducted and they get brought back, and then there's a lot more supposedly that don't ever return. So Stockholm was put, the missing of the above average intelligence may be taken for their DNA. But I get that, but why? I'm presuming some are kept and they don't return them. Is that to start another life session somewhere else?
I don't know. You got that one where they said it was almost like a portal. The hunter was walking. They said it was almost like we're going into somewhere else, like a portal. But there's like strange stories in the wilderness with things like that. Where there was one where forestry workers seen like a small type UFO pick up a moose and take it away. And they attributed that then to something to do with the prions. And like obviously like the prions in regards to in the blood causing like some kind of causing some type of disease or whatever else, and sharing it to do with that, like some kind of like the one in the human ones, young cell, what's it called again? Jakob disease, Clyde cell Jakob disease, CJD. So they attributed stuff like that, where it was like it's almost like these things are trying to find, they're doing cattle mutilations to try and actually find where these prions are. It's going to cause it just potentially wipe out a lot of people because
because if you just take samples, then what if you run out? I'm guessing they're going to run out the samples, so they have to keep coming back. Therefore, wouldn't it be easier just to take the full load of it and keep it there?
Don't know, it's a mad one.
That's
what I'm saying. Well, so it's going to generate so much things. I think we'll find out something this year. I'm being quite positive. But the thing is as well, I mean, you didn't really need to convince probably us. It's like you need to convince everybody else. We're probably in the kind of believer scale, but we're just like, oh, we can turn around and say, I told you so. The family and friends and that, told you so. Like, it's on the news now.
I know, yeah. I can't wait for that day.
I mean, it's interesting. If you're not into it and following it, it's like I had a colleague who I was working with up north, and one of the contractors had discussed about like UFOs. I was quite surprised he was into it. So I was talking to my colleague, and he wasn't into it, and we're talking about the David Grush stuff that just came out, and he was just like, "Nah, I didn't believe that. That's kind of bullshit and stuff like that." And then, but we were talking about it all. So like, this is happening now in Congress and the Senate in America. They're actually coming out with it. There's people in Canada coming out with stuff now as well about the Five Eyes. That's like related to like the UK and that, and Canada and France and things like that as well, and Australia. And then try to tell him all that, and he's like, nah, I didn't believe that. And then he pinged me a message like the following week, asked me can you send me the link to the documentary you spoke about. So I kind of came away thinking it was going to be quite hard to relay this to people, but it's no, it just takes a bit of traction with stuff. The issue we've got is when it hits the news cycles, it's only in news for like a small snippet at the end of the news, a couple of minutes after the weather or something like that. I mean, it needs to be. You notice it now, like see the BBC thing with whoever's the BBC presenter, whoever it is, like that's been on the news for the past like since it started every day, right? Headline and news, right? It's no massive news. I mean, it isn't. And it's on every single day, and it's on every time the news cycle's going on, right? About this presenter, right? If you imagine you had that talking about these hearings in the Senate, the day with UAPs, more people would know about it. So there's a job that needs to happen there. I know there's more news organisations discussing UFOs and taking it a bit more serious, but it's still not getting pushed out as much as it should.
Yeah.
To get Joe public and their interest in it and take it on board.
Yeah. So right, we've got a couple of questions, and then I'll go into some of the talking points, if that's okay.
Yeah.
So this is from Nickname, and she wants to know: has Chris seen Ross Coulthard on Project Unity saying there is a giant craft with a building? Is that the one you was talking about?
Yeah, I spoke about that one. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Fight. That's right. Ignore me. Right. Next one, Stockholm Pearls. What does Chris think of the animal? Don't know if you can say that word.
Is that mutilations?
Yeah. I'm not sure if we can say it. People get booted off for saying less than that, but
we're saying animal mutilations.
Yeah.
I never knew that.
Apparently so, yeah.
I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of different theories on that animal mutilations, but that was one of them I spoke about there about checking about prions and the brain and stuff like that. But then again, you look at things where they're taking like rectal cavities and all that kind of stuff, bits of the cheek, eyes, all that kind of stuff. I mean, it's a strange one.
It's all the soft tissue, isn't it?
Aye. I kind of thought, I kind of used to think it would do with like something to do with like DNA, no DNA, but something actually kind of put towards maybe DNA or something like that to use.
But it just seems to be like main organs, doesn't it?
Aye, sometimes it is. It's different. I mean, it's a strange one, but I mean, I reckon it's something to do with creating something, right? I'm not saying they're going to create like a cow or anything like that, but it's using some of that tissue material to create something. And the other thing is as well where there's other things going on where there's, for example, deer population and other animals getting abducted, but mutilated for the fact that it's to do with prions, something to do with prions, and the brain or like the blood or whatever. You know what I mean? Because of the fact that it's causes what do you call it? Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease or like mad cow disease, as it's called.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, that in the food chain. I mean, that's what it is, because it get in it wiping us out.
Another question then. I've just thought about this. I might have mentioned it previous, but I don't remember doing. So, you know, like they take people or animals from here. What if then these cryptids that we're seeing are creatures that have been taken from their time? They forgot where they've taken them from and just dumped them back here.
Maybe. I mean,
is that possible? Do you think that's
one of the best explanations I've seen for that was like, it was a Loris Cannon one where they were saying that obviously you hear the light spectrum, we can't see everything, right? And there's other existences that run alongside of us that we can't see. They can't see us, we can't see them. But every now and again, they merge or they converge together, and things come through. People go through time slip. People go to different places, never come back. People come back and say they've been somewhere. Sometimes you get strange creatures running about and then they disappear.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So you get a lot of kind of strange. That one of the kind of best explanations for that about these. It was a Dolores Cannon one again about the different dimensions converging, and there's certain points that converge now and again, and that's why you get window areas, and that's why you get strange shit coming through.
Yeah, I was watching that the other night, to be honest, when she was saying about the time and time slips, because she was talking about how time doesn't exist. It was all part of the same bit. But I've often wondered that are they taking creatures and they're like, well, I don't know where we got it from. We'll come here and pick some up. We'll drop these off here.
Just dump it in the earth.
Yeah,
just
make some room. We'll kick
the
these
Predator.
out.
It's like the Predator. They've got all the different ones in their ship, all the skeletons and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Can't escape through there.
So it could be a thing, or maybe they do it to mess with us.
That's the thing, though. I mean,
that's the sort of thing I'd do.
The thing is, though, the whole kind of UFO rabbit hole, though, when you go down that and you start looking at other stuff, and the more you look at it, the more it looks like it makes sense. You know what I mean? It's mad.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. We are coming towards the end of this. We could always do a part 2 on it if you wanted. Get any more updates?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's going to be more stuff kind of happening within Congress and all that anyway. So I'm going to kind of follow that. And go through there. I mean, but if there's hearings on it, try and watch the hearings if you can.
Yeah, well, we've got 6 weeks, haven't we? So there should be a lot happening in that time period.
Plenty to talk about in it.
Yeah. Right. So this is from Jojo, and she has put, watched your channel that had info from a whistleblower saying in the USA there is underground bases that do use cryptids and produce hybrids. What's your take?
Don't know about the whole cryptid thing, but I've heard of the whole hybrid thing, like on bases and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I've not heard of any stories with the cryptids and bases and stuff. The hybrids, I heard of them.
Yeah. Do you think we might be some sort of hybrid?
Oh, totally. I mean, that's gone back to the Genesis stories and stuff like that. We've been developed. Yeah. Even Lou Elizondo said that as well. He was talking about, when you read between the lines some of the stuff he was saying, he was talking about information. He was talking about how would you, if you wanted to store information, where would you store it, right? And one of the questions we put to the guy, Kurt Jamungo on Toll Podcast, Theories Everything, and he said, well, I'd maybe make a monolith and I'd maybe put it in space in a retrograde orbit or whatever else, and put it in the moon, so it's not going to diminish or whatever. And he said, well, can you think again? Where else could you put it in? And he said, well, and he was talking about putting it in DNA. He goes, what if you put that information into DNA? And he started talking about stuff going back like 70,000 years and all that. And you're thinking, where is he getting this from? And this is a guy who he's had a military career. He's been an intelligence guy, and then he's worked in the ATIP program. For what he's seen and what he knows, and he's starting to come out with stuff to do with consciousness and to do with genetics dating back 70,000 years and all that. I mean, where's that coming from? Mad. It's not mad. It's just that's a case of, if you look at these people who are in the know, or apparently in the know, and they're talking about the UAP situation and government programs, they're also talking about consciousness. They're also talking about that aspect. Like the guy who worked with Tom DeLonge, Jim Semivan, and what do you call it? His kind of thing that Tom DeLonge brought to the Stars Academy. Jim Semivan, senior CIA guy, he talks about consciousness. He's talking about abductions. He's talking about all that as well. You know what I mean? And same with Gary Nolan. Yeah, this guy's like a Harvard professor. You know what I mean? And it's like they're all talking about the same stuff. It's not just about nuts and bolts craft. No. That's where the next conversation is going to go to.
Yeah, you know I mean? I was just going to say, because you've got I was listening to Skinwalkers of the Pentagon. They was talking about the different coloured orbs and what effect they have on people.
Yeah.
There's only a couple of stories in there, but the effect they had, life-changing effects just by brushing past people. Yet the Pentagon is supposed to know all of this that's going on, but same sort of thing, they're not disclosing any of it.
Well, Gary Nolan was brought in by the CIA to look at people that had exposure to UAP and orbs and stuff like that.
Yeah,
because they could find something within, like for example, within their brain, a signature.
Yes.
Yes,
that was it.
You could find a signature within like certain part of their brain or whatever if they've been exposed to it. Some had died there.
Yeah, but one as well, that these specific orbs were only going to people that had this particular I can't remember what it was. Something to do with their blood.
No sure about that. I mean, but I know there was one where
I'd have to re-listen to it.
there was an orbit passed through one of the scientists who was working at an OSAP.
Yeah.
And it went in his shoulder and came out, and it ended up they recorded it all, and they managed to scientifically can take it over time for what was wrong with him and all that kind of stuff. And it ended up came into like some type of cancer, but didn't metastasize.
Yeah, when he
then,
driving, it come
he
through
was
the
driving,
car,
and they were working on, like, one of them was working on Skinwalker Ranch or whatever.
Yes.
And they seen two of them in a field, and one passed. I think there were either two or three of them. One passed over the windshield, one passed in with the car
And the other
across them, and one went in his shoulder. And he said it just felt like an air bubble going through his body. But it ended up they recorded that in OSAP, and they recorded
he said it was really cold, wasn't it, when it went through?
They recorded the medical effects of him over a number of years, and whatever this thing, I think it burned him to start off, whatever else, but it ended up it got cancerous, whatever, but didn't metastasize. Ended up like he passed.
Well, he said he had a dream that he met these alien type creatures. Like he said, it felt like an out of body experience, and he said, "Don't worry, we will sort this, or we will fix it."
Mm-hmm.
And then from then on, it was like, was it about 2.5 years that he went through all this really bad stuff, like all the medical, and it's just everything went downhill from there on.
The mad thing is, though, right, that if you think to yourself, right, so for what I said earlier on about the whole private industry thing, right, I'll leave you with this. The whole private industry thing, that's one aspect of it, about the money, chase the money, paid up the UFOs, try to keep that enclosed for that, right, and that's what to do with that. But if you look at maybe, for example, where they maybe try to keep it secret because they want to protect the public for whatever they know about the phenomena, is that mad, and it's not to do with just religions or anything like that, it's that scary that they don't want to tell us.
No.
You know what I mean? I don't think it is that, because you wouldn't get people like Lewis Ondo trying to get the truth out if he kind of knows some stuff.
Well, no. Well, obviously, they're hiding some.
And you always hear this date as well, 2027, for some reason.
Yeah, well, I kept saying 2025, and then they put it back 2 years. So
2027. Chris Bledsoe talked about 2027, and there is John Ramirez, the CIA guy. He talked about 2027. He said he knows that in an official capacity. Interesting thing as well, though, right? Chris Bledsoe, I'll just mention this. Chris Bledsoe got taken into NASA, right, and shown around NASA and all that kind of stuff. This is NASA. It doesn't take nothing to do with UFOs. I've just looking into it now, right? But back in the day, we had with Chris Bledsoe. They took him in there and interviewed him, talked to him about that, because he was obviously seeing a lot of this stuff. Prior to Chris Bledsoe, though, when you look back at the stories with John Keel, the guy who had the visitations for Indrid Colt, his name's Derenberger or something like that. He also claimed that he got taken into NASA, interviewed, and shown around NASA and all that kind of stuff. The exact same as Chris Bledsoe said. So, and this is NASA, who doesn't really, who's just looking into it now. Anyway.
Well, I was chatting to Chris Bledsoe a while ago. I'm just waiting for him to confirm about coming on the show. So he needs to go through his agency and his publishers, but just waiting for the confirmation. So it's all good.
Cool. That'd be good.
I'll just a little bit more information on that. Apparently, it's the blue orbs that inflict bad stuff.
The blue minis.
Yeah, the blue ones.
Yeah.
So far, it's just the blue ones that are really bad. And if you see a blue orb, get out of the way. That's pretty much it, isn't it, really? Yeah. So I think we should do a part 2 to this. Do you reckon?
Yeah, cool. Go for that, yeah.
Yeah, like I said, by then we'll have a lot more information we should have a lot more information than what we've got now. So, right. Well, thank you, Chris, for coming on again.
Cheers, Andy. Cheers, everybody in the chat as well.
Always a pleasure. Check out the pictures that we put up at the beginning of the show. I'll be doing a live stream between now and next Friday to give the ticket away. We're going to Cannock Chase, the 9th to the 10th of September. That's Saturday to Sunday. So if you want to go to the website, drop me an email. It's just direct link. Just click on the button. It'll take you straight there. And if you want to become a member, it's $3.99 a month, and you'll get member chat. And there is going to be, well, we are doing a live stream from Cannock, and that's going to be for members only. So there's all different things going on. I'm going to do a prize draw every month and get rid of loads of crap that I don't want anymore. No, it's all going to be good stuff. So that's it. There is no live stream on Friday because I am preoccupied with family shenanigans and what have you. But on Tuesday for 1 hour, we've got Andrew Collins coming on talking about his book, The First Female Pharaoh. So that's 7 o'clock on the 18th. On the 19th, we're doing a live investigation. There should be some more new members coming with me to do the investigation. I'll disclose the location once we start the live stream. And then on the 21st, we've got Amanda Quill and Rob Demarest from Ghost Hunters, and they're coming back on, and we're going to be chatting to them. So that's all I've got. If you do become a member as well, you'll see all the streams that we've got lined up between now and the end of the year. So you'll be able to see all the guests. That'll all get released as we go through 1 week at a time. So that'll drop so that it's visible for everyone. Just quickly though, with the live streams, whether it's a guest or a live investigation, the ones that are going to be members only, it'll only be members only for a week or 10 days. After that, you guys will be able to see it. It just makes it fair for the ones that are paying to get priority over everyone else. Sorry, my throat's gone. My voice is gone. Oh, good job we're not doing one on Friday, isn't it? I won't be able to speak. Yeah, so it's just so the members get priority because they're paying each month to watch. So they get that little bit more than anyone else. And that's it, really. Is there anything you want to add, Chris?
No, not at all. Just well, thanks for the chat, folks, and thanks, Andy, and we'll catch up soon. I'll be listening very, very eagerly if we get any what do you call it, hearings at the end of this month as well. But what else I'll do as well, I'll share that UAP report we've done with the UK.
Yes.
With Andy, you want to link that in? Quite big.
I'll put it in the description. Anything you send me, I'll just stick it in here. But this is going out on podcast anyway as well, so I can put it on there.
Yeah, there's quite a lot in it.
Sorry.
400 or 500 pages, and it's
right.
No defence significance though.
Yeah, well, it's all good. So, right, thank you everyone in the chat. Sorry, I'm joking to that fair. I'm going to have to go. Yeah, so nothing this Friday. See you again next Tuesday with Andrew Collins. Have a great weekend, everyone, and see you then. Good night.
Cheers, guys.
Take care.
Cheers.